All right, back to the Rockhound Podcast. This week we have a returning friend. Go ahead and take it away.
Well, welcome everybody to the Rockhound Podcast. My name's Jared. I run the website and YouTube channel, currently Rockhounding, as well as a podcast. And I think this is the 6th time I've been on the podcast here.
Ooh, welcome back.
I feel like it's been more.
I was going to say it feels like less. So we don't get enough of you, and yet we've had like good times.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is where we announce that Jared's taking over my spot and I'm retiring. Bye. People are like, no.
Yeah, the chat's going mad right now. Oh my gosh. Well, welcome back, Jared. It is so good to have you on again, and I can't wait to get into the deep discussions. Meanwhile, we're thrilled to have all of you here tonight too. So definitely let us know where you're viewing us from or listening to us from, and what you're up to. Go ahead and leave that in the comments. And meanwhile, I'm Karen from Ozone Fine Art Adventures out here on the sandy and rainy Oregon coast. Kurt?
My name's Kurt with Rock.Hounding.Adventures out here in Western Colorado.
Nice. You chilly still? Warming up?
It's warming up. All the snow is melting. It's still cold and nice. We just got back from a night walk, so it was pretty chilly, but I'd probably say it's average. Stays in the 30s. So right now.
That's not so bad.
Yeah.
No.
Still a little Christmassy over there, I see.
Yeah.
Well, how about you? Do you have snow on the ground still?
Yes.
Yes.
Lots.
Well, you look warmer with your surroundings than your usual backdrop of the shop, for sure.
Yeah, it's been a little rough so far this year, but that's what happens when you live someplace high elevation.
Yeah, no kidding. The high desert. It's chilliness. How about you, Kyle?
I'm Kyle.
Who are you?
Rockhounds. I'm not behind the curtain again. But I am wearing green, so I'm wearing the curtain.
You got to say that today.
Yeah, just staying as dry as I can with the current weather. I mean, it's Oregon. I mean, rain. I think we're
should
supposed
be
to
a shower curtain then, huh?
Yeah. Toga. No.
Yeah. Okay, next time you have your marching orders. Yeah.
But yeah, I've just been doing that's my intro.
Yep. He's jumping the gun.
Jumping the gun
into that either.
Out of practice. Anyways.
Well, let me just do the shots really quick, and then you can tell us all about your week. How's that?
Yeah,
that works. Well, we'll start with Jared, and then we'll come back down the line.
Go around the
right. Sounds good. Okay, so really quick, the shouts. First of all, thank you everyone for giving us your shows and tells for last week. It was awesome. It's always fun to see what you guys are collecting and what you're into. We're already compiling the next show and tell, so make sure to send us your beautiful shares. I always see it in the Discord and in the chat. I forgot, I didn't get the show and tell in on time. It's never too late. You can always send it in. We will put it in the very next one, which we're always just waiting for for it to fill up, and then we'll have the excuse to have another one really soon.
Yep.
So yep. Let's see, Dustin was wishing us all a happy new year, and of course everybody was wishing us all a happy new year, so as to you, all of you back, and Ivan Lopez and Julie McKenna, Lisa Largent 45 all adding to the chorus about happy to have you guys all back, because people were like jumping on other people's premieres and stuff just to chat. They missed the chat blocks. So it's really super good to be back. We missed you as well. Val Summers was replying to the words of wisdom that Kyle and I had, which was about learning. As a 65-year-old this past year, I'm trying to take the learning to heart, as I've started to learn wire wrapping, freeform polishing my stones. And so each one of them is an individual puzzle that I try to listen to the stone and what it wants to bring out as far as its best side. And so I'll keep on doing as Katie does. Thanks for the great little video as usual. And I thought that was really cool to hear about how other people are trying to challenge their minds and keep,
really good.
Keep those synapses going. That's how come Kurt's so darn smart, because he wire wraps. I'm telling you, it's the secret.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. No, it goes like this. Yeah. I love hearing about folks with their inspiration. So thanks for sharing that. And anybody who wants to share theirs, go ahead and throw it in the comments. Sandmaker was enjoying the unique perspective of each of us, what we're bringing to the show and tells, which I always love to hear people's commentary, especially if they're very knowledgeable about the stones that somebody else has sent in. And he caught us up as far as his whereabouts go. He's been hanging out in California over there near Indian Pass, looking for some dumortierite.
Oh,
Sounds interesting.
Oh.
It's probably because I just totally ruined the word. like okay, phonetically that looks like dumortierite, something like that. Okay, so correct me in the comments also. And it sounds like he's been partying with a bunch of Canadians. So Greg, are you out there with him or something? Cheers to all of you. Thanks, Randy, for catching us up on what you're up to. And then answering the question about what you were doing over the holidays, James Hislop got a high-grade bag of ore from the Ocean View mine, a bunch of tourmaline, and some other great specimens. He said to go check out his video. Now, I did not know that this was a channel, and so go check out James Hislop, and you can see what he scored for the holidays. And so and sounds like a cool new channel, so check it. Although I haven't vetted it yet, so check it and tell me in the comments. CCV Gems dug the words of wisdom, the hack of Kurt's. See, I was telling everybody about your IQ, Kurt, like that hack was killer from last week. The shoe print thing. She said that she missed the normal gab and chit chatting here as well. So thanks, Mary Beth. I bet you're in the chat right now. Ontario Rockhound, Bob's Rocks, all of y'all out there, and all you be in the chat wild. We love you, and them's the shouts. So
you can.
On to some weeks, eh?
Well, I gotta comment on the shouts real quick. The Ocean View mine down there in San Diego County, that is on my bucket list for sure.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, me too. Gonna have to forge down south to do some picking.
Yes,
and grinning.
Absolutely.
I just looked at that material and it looks pretty.
Mm-hmm. No,
what is
it would be a great place to go visit. So
yeah. So if you weren't envious of Randy before, you are now.
Yes.
Those guys get around.
I would like to know if he keeps it like a map, like a physical map of every place he's ever been, because that'd be very impressive to see.
I'll bet you
I'd
he
like
does.
to know how many miles he's driving every year.
That too.
Maybe we need to have Sandmaker on the show, you guys.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't that'd
be really fun.
Hey, I know you're out there.
Sandmaker, I'm curious how many miles you laid down in 2022.
Leave it in the comments or let me know what date you can come on the show. There you go. Those are good questions.
Well, was that all the shouts?
I've shouted out.
Sweet. Thank you for the shouts. And now we can get into how everyone's week was. Watch start with Jared.
Yeah, my week was excellent. We're starting to do some meetups here in Spokane of area rockhounds. Meet up at a bar, hang out. It's a good
there's rocks there.
Yeah, good to get
rolling rock
together and hang out and chat when it's cold and cruddy out. So that's a thing that has been going on lately, and we had our third one a couple of days ago. So that was nice. Pretty much what I've been doing. And then of course, being that it is winter time, I'm processing down all the material that we collected over the past summer, and I'm cutting stuff, and I'm mounting things and throwing rock away, which that's also fun. I have a nice bucket in my shop of castaways that I eventually take out back and chuck them.
That
Have a
does
pile
sound
outside your house.
satisfying.
It's free rocks.
Well, I've just been culling the herd some. It's good when winter clean out.
Awesome. Now, just to circle back really quick on the meetups. For one thing, that sounds so awesome. What a blast. Secondly, does anybody record any of it?
We take some photos. There's some photos, but no video.
It would be interesting to see, like, some of the characters getting together.
We have a couple of crystal digging localities out here, and one of the guys that showed up, he brought a crystal with him that he dug out here. So it's fun to see.
This like feels like bazooka.
Yeah.
Well, that's a cute little point.
Yeah, right.
It's fun to just chat it up and have that, do some networking, right? Like, that's not something anybody really does outside of that. So I feel like, is my camera blurry?
It just went blurry.
Just a tiny bit.
Oh yeah, wait, and then you like went back and it got all like,
go.
Is it? Yeah,
I fixed it.
Yeah.
You just got moved.
Just don't give yourself a headache moving back and forth so quick.
Yeah, so that's about all I have been up to this past week. Karen, what have you been up to?
Let's see. Well, thank you for that. Let me check, because losing my mind is part of it. I've been faceting a whole lot, which you guys all know. The obsession continues, that and just watching way too many MST 3Ks because they go long, and I can just fast it, leave half of my brain on the riffs and half of my brain on what it is that I'm doing. And so, of course, you guys are going to see, I tried the obsidian. So you get to see that for the show and tell. And I also got into a piece of jewelry. I think I was mentioning that last week. I was setting my very first made by myself faceted gem. And so that was kind of like a big deal for me. And I finished that. Spoiler alert, you get to see that for show and tell as well. And the rest of the week was basically used looking outside to see if there was anything good to go check out on the beach. We've been having some just rage and tides, and so there should be some good watch outs coming, but the beaches were dangerous. There's been some pretty gnarly like thunderstorms and stuff like that, so outside wasn't really something that I was into doing. And the rest of the time kind of learning my lessons on the machine, editing stuff, so videos can happen at some point. So edit instead of cut, and that's it. That's my home life. Not great. So anyway, Kurt, how about you?
Well, haven't really been up to too much. Just going on evening walks and trying to stay warm. Still working on a couple of Christmas gifts, trying to get out that are pretty late. And we're getting our car in to get fixed finally, so we can start going on some more adventures. And what else? I was working on my Maker Challenge project from last spring. I was switching out the glass, getting it fixed up so I could sell it. And so I guess that will be my show and tell later. And pretty much it. Haven't really been doing too much. Just trying to clean up, get organized, and see what we have to work on. So, and I'm trying to get some old Rockhounding trips edited from the fall that I need to get out for the stromatolites, and then also for some Grand Mesa agates hunting in the dark. So pretty much it.
Well, thank you for I was gonna say thank you for sharing your weeks. So lots happening here in the shop. Like I'm still in the process of like going through stuff. The rock room is literally nothing but a catch-all right now. Slowly converting the garage here into so it'd be easier for doing like in-person sales, so people aren't asking like if stuff in certain bins are for sale. So like those bins are now in the rock room. It's a lot of moving stuff, and I'm not done yet because I still want to be able to accomplish doing classes again here out of the shop, but I need to get the sink plumbed in. And then yeah, I got some more stuff for live sales, so I'm sticking to Saturdays. And there's a lot going on. Like, I need an assistant. Like, I can't pay with money. I can pay with rocks and high fives.
That's why I think that cloning would be so cool. You know,
it would be nice. It doesn't matter how short or tall my clone is. Like, it doesn't matter. Like,
a mini me would be rad. You know, just put ladders around the house and like just get this other stuff done. Yeah.
Well, at some point, your kid's going to be old enough to just be your personal assistant out there in the shop.
There you go.
Yeah, teach her how to edit.
Mm-hmm.
Here's all the footage here put together, and I'll review when you get done.
You know what's true about that is that, you know, at a young age she's going to be able to do it. You know, like all those kids that do TikTok and stuff like that. Like she'll be a natural. Yeah,
and then that'd be nice. And then I was kind of thinking about other things too. Like Jared, what you're saying about like meeting people, like doing meetups. Kind of similar to that. I was wanting to join the Wham Society. And go to their club, to their meetings, and pay the fees.
Probably tell people what that is.
Oh, so the WHAMs is the Willamette. See if I get this. Willamette Agate and Mineral Society. Mm-hmm. So it's a rock club here in Oregon. They meet in Salem at the 50. I forgot the name of the center. I think it's like a 50 plus community center. Never been. I've been wanting to go. But I think their meetings always fall on the Nights We Do podcast at 7 p.m. And then also that's night driving, and I hate driving at night. I really do. Mm-hmm. And I live in Corvallis, and that's in Salem, so it's a good drive. Well, I was thinking, why don't I just start a physical rock club here in my area?
Yeah.
But then it comes down to finding a space and figuring out a good name for it too.
Well, so I've thought a lot about this. And I mean, if you look at the origin of pretty much every single rock club, they all just start by like a group of friends like hanging out.
Yeah. And
so like
having different localities too, like, you know, your house, my house, and
like you get a crew together. You have your little group of friends, and that's how you start that stuff. How many Corvallis Rockhounds are there?
I think there's a few, because before the pandemic started, I was toying with the idea of starting a physical Oregon Rockhound meeting in Corvallis, and then the pandemic hit, and I'm like, put this on hold, deal with this later, and I just never reapproached it because we're still having to deal with people getting sick, and never really got back to it. So,
I mean, pick a coffee shop or something and just tell people, be like, I'm going to be here at this time. Come hang out.
Like 100 people show up.
The
coffee shop would love
you.
That's it.
Yeah.
I go to
coffee for life.
Can I get a percentage of you guys' sales for today? But there's a lot of stuff I want to accomplish, and there's not enough free hours in the day to do it, because I still work a full-time job and trying to find a time after hours to really accomplish everything I want to do. So planning, and that's my week. Back to you, Bob. Okay, sorry.
Thanks, Kyle.
All right. So are we saying anything? Can we now get into the nitty-gritty?
Nitty-gritty time.
Sure.
Do it.
All right, Jared, it's all you.
No, it's all me. Okay. Where should I start here?
Well, I have actually been dying to know you've been posting up some recent book acquisitions, and
Yes.
let's start there, because I don't know. I think that that's really exciting. You've had some cool stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've been spending a decent amount of my time just pounding through really big books and acquiring a lot of books as well.
That's a nice physical description. Like I'm like watching you. Yeah.
So I've documented all of the books that I currently have in my library on my website, so that people can go find, the ISBNs and stuff of these. And I have like a little review of all of them. And I have over 100 books up there now, and I have a big stack sitting here waiting to add to it. But I've kind of really been deep diving into more of the history of rock hounding, mineral collecting, lapidary, which has given me such a great insight into what we're doing today. I think that's like a big aspect of all of this that has really, in many ways, we've neglected, like as a community of people, loose or not, to have that kind of in-depth understanding of why we do this. Like, who did this before us? Like the names that we have for things, the ideas about, let's say, polishing, right? Where did that come from? I mean,
Good point.
Good question.
like there's so much to get into. One of the probably the best books that I've came across is this.
Hold on.
This is the history of mineral collecting, and
Nice.
this is put out by the Mineralogical Record, and it starts back in like the 1300s, and it brings us up till recent, which
is so cool. I am
That's
getting
very
that
interesting.
book.
it's
Yeah.
completely an amazing work. You can't duplicate stuff like this, and none of this is on the internet. And the more I get into acquiring obscure books, I find that this whole idea that like, oh, everything's on the internet, you just get, like Wikipedia, whatever. No, absolutely not. Like, so much of it is lost in books. One more example of that,
Or kept in books.
or yeah, kept in books only.
Thank goodness.
I have another great example of this. I live in Northeast Washington, and up here in Northeast Washington, we have about 2,000 mines that are sitting on public land. A lot of old mines, like you name it. There's no true directory of what these things are, except there actually is, and it's in this book right here.
Oh, wow.
So this is volume 6, okay? And there's 6 in total, and they basically cover kind of northern Washington, like from the Cascades to Idaho. And these guys, 3 guys, spent like 10, 15 years documenting all of the mines out here. Like,
Wow.
it's beautifully written write-ups. There's mines that have been mapped. There's the maps of the mines.
Wow.
Collecting oral histories, physically going to all these places, going to historical societies, acquiring photos and stories, and it is the record of mining in Washington.
Wow.
And you just I find it to be absolutely amazing. Like
That is.
If there is a way I could just get paid just to like sit on a chair and read all this stuff, that would be the best job ever.
Yeah.
Audio files. Just start recording and start reading.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I've been spending a lot of my my cold wintry days lately, and it's been really, really good to have a bigger perspective of this whole thing. So much of rock hounding, mineral collecting is very like macro. Like you're looking at the ground, you're picking up the stuff, you're taking it home, And that's kind of like the whole story for a lot of people. And that was the whole story for me. But even just looking back into our more recent history, I've been following Rudy Chernick's writings and everything that the guy ever produced in going to a lot of the locations that he went to. I've acquired some of his rocks that he collected when he was alive. I've been going back through the newsletters that he worked on, because he lived here in Washington and lived in Oregon some. So Friends of Mineralogy newsletters, the Northwest Micro Mineral Study Group's Microprobe newsletter. And I've been able to track now important mineral localities from their discovery in the 70s up until current day, and now go to these places. So I see their old newsletters that were typed up on a typewriter and photocopied and mailed out to their club. I have every single one.
Oh, that's so cool.
So I've been back reading
Great resource.
decades and decades of this stuff to try to get a feel for the origin of this. And it's really fascinating because you have to think at this time, there's a lot of zeolite mineral discoveries happening. So there's no names, right? Like this is like the first people to ever care about this stuff. Type localities in Oregon, they're literally just being like, nobody knows what this is. Nobody's paid any attention.
Right.
And to see that kind of process play out over 30 years in typewritten newsletters is so valuable.
Yeah. Yeah. And where else is it? Nowhere. Like that's it, right?
Yeah. It's only there. It's only there.
Right. That's the one thread. Yeah. How cool. So is some of this on your website? Like, are you working on a book list for everybody else who's stoved up inside and can't do anything, so they would like to catch up on
I do have all of the books that I have up there as a big list, and you can go sort through them.
All right. Don't leave the podcast right now though, guys.
Yeah. Afterwards, you could go check it out then.
Right.
So I've been doing a lot of that. And then we've also been doing our own podcast, which has gone really well.
Awesome.
We don't put it out as often as you guys. We don't do it every week. We do it every 2 or 3 weeks. It does require a lot of prep work, so that's my excuse. But it's called the Previously Rockhounding Podcast, and we take old issues of Rock and Gem magazine, and I read a copy, and Sarah reads a copy, and we don't talk about it, and then we come together on a podcast with all of our notes and talk about it. And this is the next one that we're going to be reading, which is October 1979. And I have high hopes for this. One of the things is government and the Rockhounds closing off the backcountry. So we shall
predictive.
Yeah,
right?
we shall see what they're talking about in there.
How cool!
But yeah, it's been neat to see the trends, because that's one thing I found about Rock and Gem is really good. You're like looking through all these issues of the 70s. You definitely see like styles and trends come and go. Like the peak and fall of Native American influenced jewelry, the influence of cheap turquoise onto the market. You know, you see that play out in a very like compressed way by reading through all of them.
Absolutely. It's so interesting that you get like the picture details as well. You know, it's very visual as well as, you know, understanding the storyline. And there's plenty of those, especially like you said, in the jewelry market. What I thought was interesting, you and Patrick Donahue were having a conversation over on the Discord about the price of, I think it was a faceting machine that he had checked, and it had not, as far as its inflation, it just went up as far as the value of the dollar, like absolutely lateral, right?
Yeah, almost everything.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing that, you know, these things haven't gone up exponentially.
Kind of the format of our podcast is like we have a section where we read all the ads and we like share our thoughts on those, and then the columns and then the articles. And I do a lot of adjusting for inflation because I think that's fascinating to look at some of the stuff. And some of it has gotten cheaper over time. Most of the machines have stayed exactly the same.
Interesting.
Like,
Isn't it?
yeah, I mean, you go back to 1979 and buy Diamond Pacific Genie, and you adjust it for inflation till today, identical in price.
Like almost to the
Interesting.
dollar. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, it's
like-
scary close.
Like within $10.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wonder what that is. Is it just because not enough people are like into the hobby, or is this, or what is it? Like,
That shows strength to me.
Yeah, a lot of things have gotten significantly cheaper since then. Like all diamond products, diamond wheels are basically free compared to what they used to be.
wow.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's so cheap now, so cheap. And you look back then, I mean, everybody was using corundum wheels, silicon carbide hard wheels. Yeah, it's kind of the 1976 was kind of when diamond wheels were really starting to be marketed hard in these things. So,
That might go ahead.
No, you.
I was just going to say, it possibly reflects leaps in technology, like the things that can benefit from technology have, and they become cheaper. Whereas the things that don't really, like a faceting machine, a big saw, these things are pretty much the same as they were before. In fact, some of them may be even better, the older ones.
I think a lot of the machines that we use being a very durable good just don't change a whole lot. And there's not a whole lot of economy of scale. If anything, the market compresses on occasions. I mean, at some point, you don't need to sell a whole bunch more. You're not selling 20% more 18-inch slab saws every year indefinitely,
No.
But every year you are making more sales of those. There are more 18-inch saws on the market, at which point the oil, the blades, the wheels, all of that, you need to produce more and more of those because there's more cumulative machines on the market, and that drives the price down of the expendables.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It does.
Yeah, that's cool though. There's juicy tidbits in your magazines. Gotta
Yes.
go listen to the podcast, people.
One thing that I thought has been really interesting about this is I've never actually read a magazine in its entirety, like up until we started doing this podcast. And what I mean is, like, have you ever taken a magazine and page by page, like, read every single ad?
No,
I'm just there for the pictures, man.
Everybody's soul
Pictures all
searching
the
right
way.
now, asking themselves, like,
Oh,
you're right, I don't read magazines.
I've only ever skimmed them. I'd be like, oh, that's a neat column. That's a neat article, right? I've never been like, let me meticulously analyze every single advertisement in a magazine and then research it and then be like, go down a rabbit hole of, oh, wow, like this stuff that they're selling is really expensive for back in the day, or, and fall down that. Or one thing I find really interesting, a lot of businesses, they would list their addresses in here. Like, you could send away for a catalog, you want to buy bulk rock, and it's just like people's home addresses. And of course, that'd be impossible to really look up back then. But now with like Google, you could just type in the address and you're like, that's a dude's house. That's not a business.
To be fair, like, it just means they have low overhead.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be in that same boat at some point too. Like,
well, I mean, if you made a Kyle's House of Rocks, and you put an ad in Rock and Gem, you wouldn't list your home address though.
In today's market, no, you wouldn't, because there's so much
serial
out there,
killers.
People, yeah, exactly. And so many
that's kind of an
weirdos.
interesting. I thought that was kind of neat about the number of people that are just like home businesses, but kind of passing it off a little bit as very professional.
Sure.
I wish I could afford like a separate space, because at some point when I start doing classes and doing sales out of the garage here, like, people are coming to my house, and I don't want to fork out for like $2,000-$3,000 for a rent for a small little tiny studio. cheap.
You just got to find your local rockhounds. You get everybody to a coffee shop a couple times. You can make your own little club, pool your money, pool your resources. I know
Start a
of,
rock show.
I know of one person, they started something similar, and all summer they were doing kind of like on the spot rock sales in a park, right? Like imagine like, hey, you get like your 10 friends together and you tell people like, yeah, you want to like come swap meet.
Pretty good idea.
And
Yeah,
then you don't,
that's a great idea.
nobody's coming to your house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
You
still
could
be doing
also-
classes. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just doing classes.
One thing you could do, depending on like how heavy your equipment is and stuff, like when I was living out in Prescott, Arizona, their library is pretty large, and they have extra rooms that they rent out or let people like rent out at a really small fee. You could look into doing that too.
I've considered even just buying like a small bus and converting it into a mobile lapidary shop, and
There
that
you
way, like, I can just drive to someone's house within reason, because gas.
Yeah.
Or I'd even go to a school or something and just like do it that way. I don't know.
The possibilities are endless.
They
Yep.
truly are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think another interesting thing that you had brought up, I think it was your most recent video, was something about bad information online, and so
That was a good video. I was watching that last
was-
night when I was upgrading
I
the shop.
love-
I'm like, all the stuff you're talking about, I'm like, yep, that's not safe.
I think what I was talking about is very specific to the rock hounding world, but it's I think a bigger problem, and that would be like the hustle culture that is emerging here in America, where you have to monetize every single thing that you could possibly do and know. And there's a time and place for the monetization of stuff, and there's a time to not, just because I don't know, look at cooking blogs doesn't mean you should start one. Doesn't mean you should charge money for that. I have a lot of interests that aren't rock related, and I'm not trying to like make a website and monetize that stuff, because it's like I don't know anything about it really. I'm the consumer of it, not the
Mhm.
purveyor of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that video about Rockhound Resource, which is a website that claims to have rock hounding locations for every single state, is fundamentally flawed, to say the least. It's definitely a marketing website there, and it's not even the only one, right? Like there's a lot. I've fallen down the rabbit hole of shady rock related websites and products in recent days. And one thing that a little bit of a scoop here, this might end up being a video. There are a lot of fake rock hounding books being sold on Amazon.
Interesting.
Fake rock hounding books.
Yes.
I mean, that's crazy that's a thing.
No.
And
So
there's enough of it that there are a lot. Like,
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So there's like hustle universities that people go to, and basically it's like, take a website like geology.com, Wikipedia, take the thing that you casually know a little bit about, and rip all of that information into a PDF, and then do print on demand scams of it on Amazon. I took a lot of these like listings for these books, and there's tools that you can put Amazon reviews in, and it goes through it with an algorithm and looks for similar phrasing, and it can detect all of the fake reviews that have been left on a product. And a lot of these have like 600 fake reviews. I'm like, there's no way these books have 600 purchases. But like they're just it's a big network scam of fake books.
Buyer
That's
beware. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit of why I'm trying to like, I have a lot of books that aren't on my list that I've gotten, and I'm like, this sucks. So I'm only putting up stuff that I think has some level of value. And if
Does
it's
that
only
go in the chuck it in the backyard bin too?
Burn
With the
file.
rocks.
If it
Yeah.
only has a little bit of value, I say that, I'm like, well, like put it within the historical context of the time in which it was written, and that. So
And I know I saw oh gosh, it was like a lapidary machine on Amazon, but if you look at the blade on the machine, it's not a lapidary machine. It's like a wood saw that they slapped onto a picture of what
Ooh.
looks like supposed to be like a tile saw. I'm like,
Mhm.
that's not safe.
yeah, you
Ooh.
really have to be skeptical and ask a million questions. And often if something's too good to be true, like being an expert in rock hounding for 50 states, it's likely not true. Like that, you can't do that. That person does not exist and won't
Nope.
exist.
Yeah, that's a lot to keep track of. One
I-
state is a lot to keep track of.
I spend a lot of time on this, and I'm like, my little like corner of the world out here, I'm like just scratching the surface still.
Yeah. Yeah. Every
We
pun
encourage
intended.
people to like start their own channels in different states so we can see what's out there, because like not any one of us can visit every single place. It's not possible.
That's right there. That's why I think rock hounding, rocks, minerals, lapidary, it's like the ultimate hobby.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
pretty
you'll
much
never get to it
pretty much
all.
all the other hobbies that you could do, you can kind of master them. Like you can't know all this. It's impossible. You need like 50 lifetimes.
Yeah.
Or more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just not, you can't do it. Like Kurt knows things that I'll never know, and vice versa. And that's just the way it is. It's such a big, massive topic.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know you may mention before where you had talked about how not one like you just said, like not one person can like know everything, but like there really isn't a dedicated master knowledge to any one subject either. Like I feel like things are always changing and there's always room for improvement. So like just for example, people say like I'm the master polisher. I'm not. Like there's always room for improvement. Like
I think it is good to try to pick one or two things and kind of learn a lot about it. Like kind of have your like specialty thing that you've dived into.
yeah, I know I don't like being called like the master polisher of obsidian. Like there are better people out there than me. I promise.
I promise. I'll stop calling you that.
I'm just saying.
It's
Like,
all your
Can
fault,
we
man.
change your name at the bottom of the screen? Can it be like master polisher for master obsidian polisher?
Right.
mediocre polisher. I'm saying though, like it's flattering to hear compliments, and I'm sure they can go towards anyone that has like dedicated knowledge for like any specific item. Like, hey, you're like top notch, like master influencer, like master whatever you might be into. But like, it's flattering.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't feel like I deserve that title because like, there's always room for improvement.
Yeah.
Just gotta take the
agree.
compliments, man.
I do. I just smile and say thanks.
Yeah, take it on the chin. You go ahead, Kyle. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to go somewhere else. So cap it if you got it. I was just going to say, you were talking about masters there, and you had somebody on recently, Mike Zinski,
Yes.
and or rather, you were at his place.
I visited his shop,
right?
and he gave me a tour, and it was a very impressive shop. Let's say
So impressive.
Tetris packed with stuff.
Yeah,
and it for me it was really good because I got to learn a lot. There was a whole bunch of time we spent with him that didn't get filmed.
I can only imagine you couldn't just go in there like the interview and okay, bye.
Yeah, but to be able to see I think there's a lot of value in seeing how somebody works, right? You can learn so much about seeing somebody's workspace, And it's extra good when somebody's been doing it for decades and decades. And he's been at it for 60 years, or he's 58 years, I think, is how long he's been doing lapidary work. But yeah, gives me hope. I see stuff like a couple of years ago, he picked up 3D printing, and now he's 3D printing all kinds of stuff.
That just blew my mind.
It's a handy tool to have nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. And the things that you can make for your lapidary, your quiver of lapidary needs, splash pans and, guards and all these things, you could just print it. It's fantastic. He had a wonderland, and that's what made me think of it, Kyle, as far as, what you're talking as far as mastery goes. There's always, even going back to what Jared said, you're never at the ceiling. This guy has been at it for this long, and 3D printing comes along, and he's not just stuck in a rut. He's going to go ahead and just master yet a new thing. I mean, that's so cool. He's a great example.
Yeah, he's making his own laps as well.
Yeah.
He makes his own tin laps for faceting, and I know Justin K. Prim did some stuff with him, so that's going to probably be in one of Justin's future videos, so be on the lookout for that.
Patrick was trained by him as well, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Donahue.
Yeah, Patrick goes to Mike's shop, or Mike's it's
the club. I think
Mike's shop, but he lets the club come and utilize his shop. So it's
Kyle. See, somebody else does that.
It's really nice.
Coffee
he does
shop,
it.
Kyle. Yeah.
The only difference, though, I don't know if he charges or not, because I'll have to charge for utilizing my shop.
I think currently they are not charged. They don't. It's a free use, pay for your supplies. He mentioned silver. Obviously, there's not free silver there.
But obvious I think he sells the parts that he 3D prints, the laps. He sells machines. He helps people make machines. There's all these things that he does, I think, that actually generate some income for the club, or what have you. I mean, it's an interesting model. He'd be good for you to talk to, I think, Kyle.
Yeah.
Road trip.
I do want to come to Washington. It's just maybe this summer. I'll start putting money aside.
Now's not the time.
Jared's you're not even invited right now. So.
Yeah, uninvited until at least the end of March. I think, he's a very amazing man, and anybody out there watching this, if you're in and around the Tri-Cities, consider the Lakeside Gem and Mineral Club as something to be part of, and they have a very solid operation going on there, from what I can tell.
I would just want to go run around in this shop.
I see stuff like that. I'm I'm gonna definitely die not knowing all this. There's too much.
Yeah. How does one person be all that? It's crazy.
I think, the best thing that you can do is just pick one or two topics at a time and try to really focus like a laser on them.
I can't do that.
He's blah 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 blah. Yeah.
I like to learn. I like to know things, and right now, on the back burner, I want to learn how to fossil prep. I want to learn how to use those kind of pneumatic tools. I want to get I forgot the name of them, but it's basically be able to tell the difference between gemstones once they're cut, to identify them. So I want to learn a broad spectrum of things, so I can have a little bit of knowledge in each of it, just enough to be a little useful.
I think that is something that is obtainable by everybody. You can learn enough about faceting and fossils and all of it, to be able to have a acceptable conversation with somebody. But there's a lot of progression in that. I don't believe you can really you can only take on so much.
For me, it's more of, I can only take on so much that I can bring into the shop.
Mhm.
I don't have a very large shop. Like, I want to learn how to stabilize stones. And I was on Lapidary Dave's live, and someone made mention that it looked like Zeke from another channel. And I forgot the name of his channel, but like he actually had a video of how to stabilize stones. I'm like, this is useful. Like, I just need a pressure pot and it's just something called cactus juice in another in an oven. But
maybe what you need to get into is collecting zeolites, and then it won't take up hardly any space at all.
little thumbs.
Little things.
Awesome.
But well, yeah. Anything else that we want to add on before we move on to show and tell?
No.
You'll have plenty more chances, I think.
I think one of these times we should have like we've talked about this before, but have like multiple people like in the podcast. But we should, for giggles, have like 6 or 8 people on here.
That'd be hectic but fun.
Yeah, I think we would all definitely need to have like headphones to avoid like
outside
feedback for sure. But
if you do that at least once on that podcast, you should ask everybody to talk simultaneously.
I think we won't have to ask.
No.
Especially depending on who we invite.
All right. Well, let's get into show and tell. Thank you, Jared, for all your information and sharing and all the fun stuff that's been going on.
Welcome. Thank you.
So, Jared, do you want to kick things off with show and tell? What do you got?
Sure. Well, like we already discussed, the weather out here is awful. So I haven't been going and collecting anything new, but we do have these meetups happening out here. And a buddy of mine, Ian, he also has a YouTube channel, the Something Differently channel, and he does almost primarily underground mine exploration. And he's my mine exploring buddy because nobody else wants to go underground with me. And he gave me a very special rock, and it is kind of odd. It's this white little thing. I know people don't like white rocks. There's those people out there. And what you're looking at is a piece of palygorskite. And palygorskite is an interesting mineral, and this has been on my bucket list. I really wanted to get some of this, and you can only get it really at a couple of mines in Northeast Washington, up by the Canadian border, deep underground. The type locality for it is like some place in Russia that I can't pronounce, but here in America, this fibrous palygorskite is really cool because it looks really weird. It looks like a wet piece of paper. It looks gross, right? Like it just kind of looks like a bad, weird coating of it. And this is a little piece, but from some of the underground silver mines up there, people pull like big sheets of this stuff out of seams. So like, a big crack on the inside of the mine, and it's like pulling out a wet piece of cardboard. It's like this entirely like pliable, flexible, fibrous mineral. So to have something that you can only get right here is very cool, and it looks kind of icky under the microscope.
Although I thought it was pretty darn cool under the microscope, but maybe it's because of those sexy stacked shots or whatever.
I've been getting a little bit better with some of the photography, so I got more upgrades planned for it so that I can do even better stuff.
You've got like a swimsuit calendar going. I mean, seriously, you should do like a micro mount calendar.
Yeah, I think maybe for 2024 there might be a Zeolites of the Pacific Northwest calendar.
I think that would be lovely, because I think that they need some help too.
Yeah,
we need to build the audience for the Zeolite show that we'll eventually do with you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To make sure people love Zeolites as they should be loved.
It is a fascinating group of minerals.
For sure.
We have a lot of them.
But yeah, the Palygorskite, that's my my show and tell. I'm very happy to have it in the collection, and hopefully at some point me and Ian will be able to go underground at that mine together. He does have a video up on it, and it's great. It's a huge, massive underground network that's flooded as well. So that's always fun.
I was just watching the one where I think you guys were going into the uranium mine together.
Yes.
Yeah,
Cool.
that was pretty great.
Yeah, that was a little tough, a big uphill hike with chest waders, and
Yeah.
the mine's water up to here, and you're just kind of getting at it. But
Yeah, you could get up there if you didn't have the chest waders on. You're like, nah, I'll pass.
I draw the line at like not having chest waders when I go into a flooded uranium mine. That's
Yeah,
like
makes sense.
gotta have them. Gotta have them.
Yeah, and knowing that you're not glowing when you're coming back out and all that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Right on.
Well, thank you for your show and tell, Jared. And next we have Karen.
All right. Well, surprise. Again, it's faceted fun from me. And what I've got here is a huge faceted chocolate diamond. Or actually, it's a piece of obsidian. But
It's taking my throne.
There's a new master here.
So this guy had some glass butte obsidian, and Theo kept on going on and on about how cool obsidian was when you facet it. And he was using Apache tears, and I checked all of my Apache tears. You can backlight them to see if they're going to be clear. Those of you who have experience with obsidian know that some of it is it's like licorice. No light coming through at all. It's like a black hole. It's dark matter. And so this I went through all of my glass butte stuff looking for the lowest quality stuff. Because the lightest tint, can flashlight through it, and it's got nothing fancy in it, no mahogany, no rainbow, nothing that you are always looking for there. So basically I am assured to get great stuff because I can just go to people's discard piles when I go back to Glass Butte and pick up great stuff for faceting.
Or come to my house. It's or closer.
House for the rock club meetup. With some coffee. So I found some that was like sort of light. That one's not terribly light. And I love the color of it. It turned out to be such a pretty color. So Theo, thanks for the idea. I still need to hit some light stuff, but I think that it's beautiful. The only problem with it is that it's obsidian. And so as Kyle, the master, knows, you have to know how to polish it. And I'm in the lapidary wise, I can do it. But on the faceting machine, I was using one technique for all of the facets. Good. I was like, this is a new material for me. This is so fun. I'm loving it. I got to the table, which is the flat part on the top of the gem, like the crown part. And it took me a whole day to just do the table.
So it doesn't matter how big the obsidian is. Big flat pieces always take the longest to polish. Doesn't matter.
That's anything. Right?
The scratch is easy, but the thing is, if you can polish obsidian, you can polish almost anything else.
Have you taken any obsidian to your high-speed sander yet, Kyle?
Nope, and I will not. Actually, no. Wait, let me think about this for a second.
Whenever you said that.
I have taken obsidian to a high-speed sander. It just was not mine. I did it years ago.
Yeah,
and it does work quick. I just won't use it for the polishing side of things because the polishing, I have to use the carpet wheel because it's the best.
Yeah.
For the master.
Yeah.
Master.
I think that the obsidian, like we love cerium oxide for that. You know the grits that you want to do. I've got new equipment, so I don't know my wheels. Another soundbite from Kyle, like your wheels, right? Well, everything's fresh, and so it's got weird parts of the disc that it hasn't worn down yet, so don't go there with a piece of obsidian and all this. And so it was fun, a whole day on just the, like, seriously, I think that table on that stone is maybe 3 to 4 millimeters wide, and like a whole day, like I kept on putting scratches back in was my problem. And so, yeah, I rotated through a bunch of different stuff. And so that was like absolutely terrible. It was, I wanted to never do obsidian again until I finished it. And I was like, oh, you're so pretty. I'll do you again.
Yeah,
So anyways.
I don't like doing flat pieces either. As long as there's some kind of curve to it, that way there's less point of contact, I get a better polish. But flat surfaces, I prefer not to do. And that's one of the biggest. I hate polishing slabs. I hate slabs more than anything, because it's not just like you're not only polishing a flat surface, you're having to grab onto a slab that's like pretty thin, and hoping that an edge doesn't catch on the polishing wheel and there it goes. I don't have the strength in my hands to do slabs. Last time someone handed me a box of slabs to polish, I paid someone else to do it. And I told them, it's like, I do not claim the quality on this work because I did not do it.
I'll just sublet that. Yeah. Nice. Right on. Well, just part B is the first ever faceted gem that I have set. That was one that I did. And so there's a much better video that Kyle can run as far as finishing that. It's just a kind of as a jewelry designer, and that's how I got really into the lapidary at all. Was I learned the jewelry side of it first. Mom and grandfather were into the lapidary thing a little bit, and so the whole thing kind of happened, jewelry into rocks. And so, like, I kind of never dreamt that I would actually ever attain the, like, I can facet and set my own faceted stone. I mean, that just like kind of, that's like a day that, I never thought would come. And so it's kind of like my birthday or something. And so pretty excited about that. It's a boulder opal from Australia, and the sunstone is a 1 carat sunstone. And I set it that way because that particular boulder opal looked like it has a little bit of red and green at the very top, and then it goes into blue, and it looks like the sun setting on, the ocean, with like complete with the little green flash. And so
I really love the design. I think it helps bring it out, and you did a spectacular job.
Thank you. It's so fun. It's so neat to just like when we get to your show and tell, which is next, so we get to see that next. I was saying, it's like when Kurt gets to frame something, and like that's like the big finale, and it's exciting when it works out good. And so this is a perfect segue. Let's see what yours is.
Oh, mine is the Maker Challenge from last spring, and like when I originally did it, I was wanting to use ultralight acrylic, which is museum grade acrylic, which comes with a lot of like scratch resistant, static resistant, like all these different qualities. But that stuff is really expensive, so I was just going to use museum glass, but then I couldn't get museum glass, so I just got basic plexiglass, which just basic plexi has just your basic reflection, and it's, anyone that has used plexiglass, when you peel that film off, it just static like crazy. And I had fingerprints and static dust all on the inside, driving me crazy. So I didn't want to sell it in that condition. So the other day I was able to get some museum glass, and the museum glass has 99% UV protection, but it also really cuts down on the reflection. As you guys can see, it has more of like a greenish reflection, but it also it gives the appearance as if there's no glass there whenever there's not a light directly across it. And it also enhances color. So if you guys are ever framing anything, make sure it's conservation clear glass or museum glass so that way it preserves whatever is on the inside of the glass. So this is what it looks like, and now it's in perfect condition and ready to be sold.
It looks good.
Yeah.
Should I save up to have you do my play button?
Yes, that's exactly how I was wanting to do your play button, but I was wanting to do your play button with a little bit more depth, and I have some ideas on what frames I would like to use for it, but that'll be in the future, so I'll contact you when I get those materials.
Do you build the frames?
Most of the frames are already made in length form, like if you go to the lumber yard and you buy
Molding?
sticks of molding, or it's in that form, and then you just cut it down into the 45-degree angle, or if you're wanting to do different angles or different shaped frames, you just cut it into those angles and glue it together, make sure it's braced, and
Do you ever build shadow boxes like that you'd put something like a rock into?
I've had to, whenever I've done, when you get a customer and they like really are set on this molding, but it doesn't come any deeper than like half an inch deep, then that's when you're like, okay, well, I can go to the lumber yard, grab some wood, slap it, build a box, attach it to the frame, and do shadow boxes like that. Or I've done it where I just go to the lumber yard, buy wood putty, and then kind of make my own style, slap the wood putty on, carve it out, or do repair restoration work on frames. So
nice.
Cool. Yeah.
It's skill to have.
I want to see more of Kurt's frames. Actually.
I hope to get the right materials and equipment I would need to do that in the future, and then bring that in to the channel as well.
Yes.
Do it.
Thanks, Kurt.
Thank you for your show and tell. I wasn't expecting to be on physically tonight.
But you are the show and tell.
We pressured him.
Well, I was trying to figure out what isn't it's like I've been doing a bunch of stuff. Oh my gosh, sorry. I've been doing a bunch of stuff here in the shop, and so everything in front of me right now, there's it's not my material. It's technically somebody else's until it sells, and even then, it's not mine. But I did get a package in day before yesterday, and I finally opened it tonight, so I'll grab that really quick. So I actually do have a show and tell. It was luckily still here in the shop. Thanks.
I thought he was going to go for the gnome.
Oh.
Go for the gnome.
You can't see the gnome behind me. Okay.
Is Kurt still pinned? Oh, now you are. Okay.
Hello. All right. So, during all my unboxings, I had as follower of the channel, Alan, he sent me a bunch of Kentucky agates, all of which I'm gonna be polishing for him. So, actually, they're actually on the table behind me. I have to start working on those between now and next week. There'll be a couple of videos on those. I was going to do one big video, but that's not going to happen. I didn't have enough time this week. But he sent me another one because he sent me one to keep in the package that he initially sent with all these ones. He forgot to send one of the ones he meant to send. And so we have here a nice yellow Kentucky agate.
Wow.
Nice.
And I'll put it actually a better picture here. I'll write down my time so I don't forget this time. So once I would get done polishing on all his agates and send them back, I want to get this polished too. Because the zoom camera doesn't do it justice, but it's beautiful. It's like it's cool.
Are we gonna be able to see that on your channel? Is it gonna be you gonna show that?
Yeah, I just did the unboxing tonight, so I'll probably upload it really quick. 'Cause it wasn't like a super long video, so I'll probably upload it here after I get done talking with all you beautiful people. So you guys will see that here. You guys would have already seen it before the podcast goes live, so it'll be out. But yeah, it's some cool stuff. I've never worked with Kentucky Aggie before, so I don't know if it's gonna be soft or if it's gonna be fairly hard to work. I'll find out. I was gonna work on some tonight, but I had to change Amy's headlight on our car, so that kind of ate up a little bit of time. Yeah. Yeah, I got
really fun headlights. So you go through the wheel well.
Oh, I had some choice words. I had a lot of choice words. I understand now why mechanics swear like sailors. In fact, I had a little. I mean, I had a couple flashlights, but my little flashlight, I think it just got a little wet and it stopped working. And I just chucked that thing into the garage, and I was so mad. Oh man! But there's only one bulb that was out, but I just did them both since I was already there. I'm like, you know what? I'm here. I'm just gonna do both. We're gonna have both brand new light bulbs. I don't have to do this anytime soon. So for those car designers that are out there, please make the light bulbs more accessible. Sincerely, me. So that was my show and tell, my little rant. So Theo couldn't make it for tonight's podcast, so here's Theo's show and tell.
Okay, so I apologize that I was unable to make it, but I did want to show you guys this. So, yeah, more updates coming soon. But anyway, just wanted to show you this thing. This is actually petrified wood, and it's amazing. Get a light on it. Look how beautiful that is. Oh, I love it so much. All those little white spots are agate. It's amazing. And then we got this, which doesn't look like much on the surface, and then you get a light behind it. And that is a purple banded Montana agate. And I love it so very much. This was amazing. All right, guys. Well, I'm sorry I wasn't able to be there in person. I love you all, and I will see you next week.
Words of wisdom.
Excellent.
Jared, Jared, words of wisdom.
My words of
some kind of
wisdom
Kyle mic drop, you know.
Be very selective with where you get your information. Like,
Yes.
you really need to be discerning, and yeah, there's people out there willing to deceive you for a couple of bucks. So choose wisely.
Always trust the people that offer information for free.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah.
That's great advice, though. Seriously, we're misled in so many ways. You do have to stay skeptical and pay attention for sure. You know, I think that that mine sort of rides on the back of that, as far as so what you're listening to, be it somebody who's selling you snake oil or if it's actual vetted good stuff, that's, you know, what you're paying attention to actually ends up being, you know, what you're about. Like, you become what you think about, and your character is the complete sum of your thoughts. And so paying attention to, you know, like what it is that you're feeding your head, what in thought form, and obviously in information form. So the books that you read and the videos that you watch and the programming, like literal programming, is kind of what you end up being. And so, you know, you want to consume with care for sure. Pay attention to those things. So we don't want to be all full of, you know what. So yeah.
But my eyes are brown.
Nice. My eyes are blue. How about you, Kurt?
I really didn't have word wisdom. I was trying to figure it out at the beginning and still haven't really come up with one, but y'all, we talked about it a little bit earlier in the show. Always don't, hold on, how should I word it? If you think you know everything, you don't. Like, there's always more you can learn to progress your knowledge and your skill and mastery and so forth. So always keep your mind open.
Yes. Thank you all for your words of wisdom. I think mine is going to be supportive of your friends, your family. I just feel like there's, I don't know, just be supportive. Like, you don't have to be supportive in the means of financially. You can be like, hey man, good job. Or you can just, I don't know, be supportive. Just take it as you will. It doesn't cost a thing. It's free. Just be supportive. That's my words of wisdom.
I like it. We
I like
support
that
you
one.
in that.
It's good.
Yeah,
For sure. I endorse what he just said. Thank you, Kyle. Jared, can you really quick tell us where we find all of your Eunice?
Currently rockhounding.com is where everything is.
It's where everything is. everyone.
Everything.
everything that you can even think about
Everything's right there.
is on his website.
Yeah. Go check it out. That's where the podcast is. A link to the YouTube channel. Next week on my YouTube channel, I'll be doing another resource week, which is something I do every single year over there. On the community tab, there's going to be a post every single day of an awesome free resource that's good and vetted and great that you can use in learning about rocks, minerals, geology, all that good stuff. So go look at that.
Awesome.
It's free.
Free.
And it's free. So you can trust it. Awesome. All right. Does anybody else have anything to add, or should I get this this thing wrapped up?
Go watch Jared's podcast.
Yeah, check out his website
Thank
Do
you.
it.
now.
No,
Rockhounding
wait.
from ye olden days.
Amy
As
digs
soon
his
as
name,
we're
by the
done
way.
here.
What?
Yeah.
I said Amy really digs the name. She thought that was
You guys are the current Rockhounding podcast. I'm the previous one.
Love it.
future rockhounding. No. Anyways, go ahead, Karen. What?
I think we're just wrapping this thing up if everybody's doing.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so thank you again, Jared, for being again on the podcast. We
Well,
love
thank
it.
you for having me.
Yep. And all of you, thank you so much for being here all the way until the end. And don't forget to send us your shows and tells over on our email. It's in the description, as well as if you'd like an invite to the goings on over in the Discord. Hit that email. I'll send you an invite for the Discord, and you can show and tell all week long and be in on interesting conversations like the one that we had today, Jared. And sometime last night, I think it lasted all night long or something. Some interesting stuff going on over there all the time. And so if you miss the podcast during the weekdays, go hit us on the Discord, and we will see you next week. Thanks again from all of us here at the Rockhound Podcast. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.